Hey everybody, Ryan here from Android Calls, and here to do a review today on the Google Pixel Watch. So this is something I was really hyping up and waiting for. This was the watch I really wanted to get, and here we are, and we have it. It's been a couple of weeks. I really wanted to give it its full, true value in using it, and I gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed. At $450, and this is probably going to be my tagline for this, it really felt like somebody built a high quality knockoff of Android Wear, and that's kind of where I feel. It does look phenomenal. It does look very sleek. I'm used to something bigger, so being smaller was a little bit of a trick for me that I wasn't quite used to. But we'll go over it here. So the device itself, in terms of a band, is held on. You tuck that little thingy into here, and it's held into that there. So it's an interesting little band, a little clasp or thingy. So, and then the bands themselves are easily interchangeable with this, and I'll do another video to show that. So that's pretty cool how those work. So no little pins or anything. The immediate downside to this, I find, is that it's not Qi rechargeable. So that really burns me, that I couldn't just take my phone and charge it that way. Like, that was the feature. We had the opportunity with our Pixel Buds for why you didn't. Anyways, when we go over, let's take a look here at some of the other features. We take a look at. I just want to bring my notes up here. Boop. Okay. So yeah, I find it's a little bit tiny in terms of the device itself. No Qi is the big killer. You're going to want to get another charger. This is $40 extra. And again, the downside, even though it says it's magnetic, if you put it on, it will fall off. So it's not really magnetic in the fact that you can put it against something and it'll hold it there. You really need to lay it down on it, and that was kind of a pain. The other part about the charger is that it only comes with a USB-C port, so I had to reconfigure my whole side desk to do USB-C charging for that. Okay, but let's move on. The next part about it is, for me, that was the fact that it wasn't Android Wear. It actually is not Android Wear. You do not set this up in Android Wear. If I go to Android Wear, I don't have a watch set up. I have to go and try to connect it, and it's not going to find it. You use another app called Watch. And that's what you set it up. So it sets up that way. And I'll go into that in a little bit. But that's the kind of just left turn it felt like using this for the whole device. The next thing for me, absolutely, was the fact that it was Fitbit. Not Google Fit. It was Fitbit. Everything was Google Fitbit. And then I tried, well, maybe I can just install the Google Fit app. It couldn't. It did eventually. I do now have Google Fit on here, so I can see my Google Fit on there, and that works just perfectly. Unlike Fitbit, which I constantly have no trust in whatsoever, the Google Fit app syncing with my watch. I mean, it will eventually, but the little widget never shows an up-to-date count. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. Like, if I could, and you can't uninstall Fitbit. It's brutal. So that's the first thing I just kind of got. I feel like I'm in the wrong realm. I feel like I'm in using. Remember the Huawei watch review? It was awesome. It was really great quality, and then without Google, it was kind of nothing. This one, it's like, well, it's all Fitbit or nothing. Okay. Other sort of quick notes, so that the battery, it does say it's going to last 24 hours. I do find the battery, it's not too bad. After a full day of use, like getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, putting it on, and then wearing it till about midnight, it's got about 30% charge left. So I don't know if it's going to make it to 24 hours. Depends on the day, depends on what I'm using it for. It may not make it. But yeah, I mean, it's not great, it's not bad. It's definitely smaller. I'm used to these bigger honking guys that have huge batteries that could go 2 days if I needed to. So outside of that, using it, just like most other Android Wear watches, we tap that to bring up our app tray. I really miss the rotated. And the other downside of this, again, where you feel like it's not Android Wear anymore, is that I used to like to star apps in my launcher. It's like timer. I can't find them. Like, you can't star these to show up at the top anyways. They tell you, well, there's a quick way to get to apps that if you want to use, you can use this hidden secret special button up here that's really kind of inconvenient to hit. You can hit that, and it's not great to hit. And that shows you your recent apps. So that's great, but if I haven't used my timer app in a while, then where do I go and get that? So, yeah, if you double tap it, and you're going to be really careful, it'll go right back into the app that you would have used last. So that's not a great feature. One neat thing I do like about it is that there is a way to set up the LTE on your phone on it here. And that's the other thing. It's like these quick panel trays are just atrocious. There's a ton of all of them there. If I go into settings, I think where was it? Connectivity. I want to set up mobile. Automatic. Maybe I may have to do it with the app itself. But I can set up just so that it'll use LTE by itself. You have to set it up with the phone and then connect it with your carrier. Bell wants to charge me an extra $10 a month to share data between these two devices. I don't know if it's really worth it for me. I don't really know how many times often I'm going to be away from my phone like that. But I mean, I do got to admit, the crown is really good. I do like the crown. Every once in a while, it does feel like I'm hitting the end of the spring and it's a little tighter, but outside of that, it's not too bad. Another downside I found with it, it looks like a nice smooth pebble, but you probably can't see it in this light, but I already have a couple scuff marks on it, so it did scuff pretty good, more so than I'm normally used to for other devices. So just be warned of that. I don't know if you can make out on that. But outside that, so how does it differ from Android Wear as well? So Android Wear is used to swiping to the left and I would get my Google Assistant stuff. And I don't. What I get is one big, huge, long sort of tiles that you would have to play around with. That used to be able to just swipe to the right and you'd be like, okay, how many steps, how much your heart rate, your exercise, all that kind of stuff that you would go and play around with. That's you have on that way. Swipe down, you get your quick tiles, which are cool, and you swipe up, you get your notifications, which work the same. But yeah, it doesn't. It feels very close to Android Wear, but different all at the same time. I do gotta admit, I do like how it does use its speaker. I have used this for a phone a couple times and made my phone call. So when I do the phone call, you make sure you set that up to there. The fact that I can ask it a question like from, hey Google, how many pounds are in an ounce? I don't know, that's the wrong kind of question. It's so being able to get a sound out of that is pretty cool. I've done that while driving, and it's like, oh, is a coffee shop open or not? And it'll answer. It's kind of easier than having me to glance at my watch, etc. So yeah, so that's the basis of it. I like it. It's the right size for a lot of people. My wife never really has liked these huge watches, so she liked Fitbit, so she might like this. Me, for $450, I really wanted more out of this, and I was really hoping for more, but I really feel left out. So let me show you some of the apps that we have. The app from the Goop Pixel Watch. So we can see the Pixel Watch, we can see the watch faces, and we can play around with the different watch faces that are sort of built in. Nothing exciting. It's kind of blah. I was really expecting something more. It feels monochrome. When you want to edit it, you can edit what they call the complications. So the little spots where you have. So your complications, what kind of stats do you want to go in there? Whoops. can do. So you can play around a little bit in there. I have not been able to see the full customization we would have elsewhere. The notifications, we can set what kind of notifications we want to see. And then we can go around and play, get apps from the Play Store to install on it. The only thing that saved this from not going onto the pile immediately was the fact that it had Google Fit, because that's what I wanted to have. I'm glad that they brought that in eventually. That would have been a really missed opportunity. Personally, I think I'm going to let my wife try it out for a while, and I'm going to see what she thinks. But I think I might go back to the TicWatch. Really. It's hate to say it, but I guess at my age, that's what I'm used to. Anyways, that's my review. We're at 10 minutes. I don't like to bore you guys too much. If you have any questions, please hit me up anytime. Thanks.